Guys, I am back and I have got a weird one for you guys. I'm just gonna jump right into it. Right here, we have got Put Out Another One by MC29. And if you're not familiar with MC29, don't feel bad about that. But this came out in 1990 on P Coast Records. I assume that stands for Pacific Coast. Really don't know too much about this guy except a little bit, which I'm going to get into later. But you'll notice written and produced by Jeffrey Gilchrist, so I assume that is the real MC29. I guess, again, we'll get into that a little bit later. Anyway, the song is called Put Out Another One, and as you can tell from the title, he disses third bass, but it's not really a third bass diss record. He directs several bars towards third bass. There's several rhymes towards them in the middle of the song, but it's really not about third bass overall. So what is it about? Well, I guess first we should get into who and what MC29 is, because maybe that will help somewhat semi-explain it. Because the main thing about him that's really confusing to me is whether you're meant to take him seriously or if it's like a joke act, like MC Pillsbury and the Four Large Crew, or, Rappin Duke, something like that. He's definitely going for humor. You're definitely meant to laugh along with this record. No doubt about that. But, I mean, Spoonie G had funny raps, but he's a legit rapper. He's, you're meant to take him seriously overall. He certainly said funny things. So there's, there's a spectrum where you can be in terms of how funny you are, without crossing that line into like novelty joke act like the Two Live Jews or something. And again, I'm not sure where he is meant to be on that line. I feel like he's sort of riding that line intentionally, maybe. Or maybe he's just meant to be a joke act and I'm giving him too much credit. But this record, taken by itself, I mean, you could really sort of take him semi-seriously here. So that's basically the, mystery of MC29. So now we go into what Put Out Another One is about. And sort of an opening skit kind of sets it up. There's a little bit, not really a skit, because I believe it's a genuine audio recording, not like, a skit from most albums, but a little bit of a radio snippet from when they played a song of MC29, and they say, okay, now we're going to go to the audiences, tell us what do you think about MC29. Some guy calls in and rips him to shreds, says he's terrible, his voice sounds whack, his beats are terrible, everything needs work, needs to be changed, he has no hope of a career. They kind of laugh, and then we kind of come into MC29 and say, oh, you didn't like me before? Well, here I am, I'm putting out another one. That's what this record is, I put out another one. So there you go, that's what it's about. And if you're thinking that topic kind of sounds like it's light on substance to make a whole song about, you're right. So that means, as you could probably predict, the bulk of this song is just sort of braggadocio lyrics kind of strung together, and there's actually two versions of this song, not including the instrumental, which is on here. The B-side has they call it the P Coast sampler mix, and that version is like 9 minutes. The first A-side is like a regular length song. The P Coast sampler mix is basically the same song all the way through the first 5 minutes, but the difference is it just keeps going. And it keeps going by introducing, as the sort of mixed title implies, the P Coast roster. So all the other artists on P Coast Records. Now, no one else really on P Coast ever actually came out with a record, but apparently they intended to, because there's a guy named MC Ra on here. There's a female rapper named Harry Carey on here. I think there might be one other. So and each one gets a verse. So, MC29 kind of introduces them a little bit and says, now here comes MC Ra. And then MC Ra raps and so on and so on. And so that's why it's called a sampler mix. And so that also, though, makes you think, okay, now we're kind of meant to take this seriously. Again, they might have like a sort of semi-witty or intentionally funny punchline in there. But basically, here's our rappers, here's our crew. Basically braggadocio stuff. Meant to be pretty serious. But we're going to get more into the novelty talk in a minute. In a minute, because you guys probably want to get to the third bass stuff, since that's what's in the title of the video. So let's go. Pretty early on, he just says, first of all, it just sounds like a throwaway punchline. He just says something like, I forget what it is, you hear it in the clip, but just something basic, like, you guys are whack like third bass. Like, there's really, whatever. He just say, it's not a third bass diss. I mean, the line is a third bass diss, obviously, but it's nothing to get excited about. There's tons of that garbage in hip-hop. Nothing to say, oh, wow, a third bass. But then he kind of keeps going, and he talks about him. He says, oh my God, you guys, only have a career because you dissed the BC Boys, and, you're kissing up to Russell Rush and Def Jam and that kind of stuff. And he goes, again, it's like a whole segment of the song, pretty substantial, all against third bass. So I'm going to let you hear that. I'm going to let you hear the roster stuff. But before we do that, we got to talk about this guy's rapping style, because that's a part of why I'm not sure how seriously we're supposed to take this guy, and B, as soon as you hear it, you're going to be distracted by that if we don't talk about that first. So this is a California record. You know, the label's from California. Clearly, once you hear this guy's accent, he's from California. That's straight away. And he's certainly not shy about sort of having this kind of heavy-handed accent. What he basically has, I would say, and what would be distracting about his voice is that it's not sort of a typical rapper's, not only his actual voice, because obviously, you know, everyone from like, you know, Eazy-E to, you know, MC Hammer can have, you know, high or deep voices. Yeah, anyone can have a different voice in hip hop, but just in the way, you know, not a particular rapping flow. It's much more sort of spoken word. It's a little bit more ironic. Again, you're going to hear it. It sounds like if you think of like MC Circus from the Shapeshifters, where, you know, a lot of people just get annoyed by him, write him off, etc., because he's got sort of this surfer dude voice that doesn't sound like it should be hip hop or something. That's sort of the thing here with MC29. So, okay, so now that you are prepared for that, let's listen to some of Put Out Another One. By the way, the production here is pretty interesting. It's by a guy named Andy Ernst, who I don't know too much about, but I know he's done some other West Coast stuff, worked with Swaying King Tech, and both when they were Swaying King Tech and earlier when they were the Flynamic Force, although often more as like an engineer and a mixer than a producer per se, but here he's the producer. I looked him up online before I started this video. Apparently he also does like a lot of punk rock stuff and that kind of thing, which would make sense. This sounds like the kind of rapper who would be produced by a punk rock guy, but like I said, he also has legit hip-hop credits. So okay, now that I've, you know, led up to it and put it off 4 or 5 times, let's actually hear Put Out Another One.
You lost the ratings race, so you got replaced by Who Gets the Gas Face, starring Third Base.
Oh man, not Third Base.
Brooklyn's Disgrace. Third Base, a Def Jam mouthpiece dissing the Beasties. They got a gold record, but they got it on their knees. Brown Nose and the Brothers going, please, please, please. Enough about them, a few words about me. Put out another one.
Sucker DJs are playing your records.
Come on, Rob, just put out another one.
Just come up like regular chickens.
Okay, this is my favorite part of the record. It's time to introduce the crew in the Pico stable. MC Ra, work the table.
I'm raw, y'all. Let's get raw. And bitches hear my rhymes and they go, oh man, Raw's ramming, cramming, jamming, slamming. He ain't a Chinaman, but he one top ramen. Yo, butts in the back of the bus. Buy my record, I'll kick your butts all over the place. You been ace, I want a bullet on the charter, so bullet in your face. Pop to the top, I can't be stopped by no nuts, donut eating cop at Winchell's.
Ra, this rap's essential. The name of your record is
I'm a wanted criminal.
So that's a strange, ridiculous Third Base diss by this crazy guy MC29. But you might be thinking now, okay, his whole thing of the song is put out another one, put out another one. That means he must have put out one earlier, right? Hey, I didn't finish grad school for nothing. So yes, it's true. There is an earlier MC29 record, also on Picos Records, also from 1990, but this one came first. Girls I've Introduced to the Jimmy, whose title says it all. He's barely, I don't even know if you could really say he's rapping on this song. It's like a long list song, maybe closer to sort of some of the songs Buck 65 did, or what like Smooth the Hustler and Chuck D did. But even those, like the Smooth the Hustler, like that's still a really, you know, it's a list, but it's like a rap. This is almost more like a straightforward list, like he's just talking over the beat. And it's just much like, you know, Dreams of an R&B Bitch and All by Notorious Big and the many, you know, subsequent follow-ups to that, which I've already done a blog about. So this is like that. So he just lists every hot female celebrity that he's into and says, you know, something slightly dirty about them and kind of moves on. A few are jokes, but a lot of it is pretty serious and straightforward. Again, that line of, is he meant to be a joke rapper? There are definitely jokes in here. He definitely says, you know, or even if you don't say it's funny, at least meant to be funny stuff about these women and stuff. And it's a long litany. It really feels like the song is super long. Again, that's probably because it doesn't really have any kind of flow or anything to it. To his credit, I guess, this came out years before Biggie's Dreams, so he did it first. Biggie did it better. This guy did it first. Definitely not a song with a lot of replay value. Not even a song I really enjoyed playing through the first time. But here we go. I'll play a clip of this. You'll notice there's a B-side. We'll get into that when we come back. So this is Girls I've Introduced to the Jimmy by MC29.
Elle McPherson, Leslie Griffith, Debbie Gibson, Tamara Bruno, Jody Watley, Jamie Gertz, Charlotte Rampling, The Bangles, Bananarama, Gabrielle Azur, Lisa Bonet, she met my Bonet, Ashley Richardson, Winona Ryder, Valerie Kaprisky, Vanity, Kelly Preston, Darlan Flugo, the Wiggins sister, Rachel Ward, Brooke Adams, Pam Guer, Phoebe Cates, Beatrice Dow, the local hero mermaid, 80% easy of the Club MTV girls, Sean Weatherly, Paulina Poroskova. You know, Paulina, she's not like all the other models. You know, she's really, really smart. You know, I know this to be true because of her interviews. She always saying it in her interviews. You know, I've given it some thought one day. I was thinking maybe she should hook up with James Woods, the actor, because he's really, really smart too, you know. They're real smart kids or something. Jennifer Rubin, Jennifer Gray, Ann Archer, Jackie Bang, Penelope Houston, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, Carol Bouquet, Sade, Lauren Lane, Kim Delaney, Isabella Adjani, Kathy Tyson, Lori Singer.
Now we come to the B-side, I'm a Traitor, as in stock trader, Wall Street. I actually did a blog post about a couple rappers who referred to themselves as Wall Street rappers, and those are basically novelty acts too. And so, again, we're really leaning now towards the comedy side, I would say. Except they're not really jokes. He kind of, well, yeah, it is. He raps, for the most part, about Wall Street and being a stock trader and, you know, weak semi-punchlines about Wall Street Journal and stuff like that. So at some point, especially towards the third verse, he really just kind of veers off of that and deviates into standard braggadocio rap again that really has nothing to do with it. But basically, it's a silly song about being a stock trader on Wall Street, and so that's what this song is. I'll play a clip.
And you're supposed to cop. I'm not at an 8, nah, I'm at a quarter. If you want me to sell, boy, get a better order. Cause if I'm gonna get raped, I want the extra 8 so I can lose 10 grand on this trade and call it fate. No wait. Alright, what's in tomorrow's herd in the street, Nate? Goldman Sachs, I'd like to give them a smack. All the money that they stole from me, I'll never get back. Morgan, Shearson, Bear Stearns, Drexel, follow ethics where breakfast follows correct. All at 4 p.m. on CNN, the institution's stooge, Dan Dorfman. Sniffing out tips like dogs sniff out gender. Spoon-fed the inside on the UAL tender. The yards have policies out on his life. Yo, Dan, I got my hot tip waiting for your wife, cause I'm a traitor. I'm a traitor.
Tragos! You took your first 50 and spent it on the post.
Cause I'm a traitor. Just to check her B-side, 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 B-side. She said that her ex is employed as a stockbroker, and he up and left her for some low-life coke.
At this point, you might be amazed that this guy just has records out at all. Who the heck is this guy? Where did he come from? Why do he keep pressing up wax? He actually has more records. He has a third record, which is definitely a joke song, called Turbo Baby, which is like a dance record, you know, like anything, like the Smurf, whatever. But the joke is, you're dancing, wriggling around like you're trying to get the gerbil out, like you've got a gerbil up your ass, like that infamous Richard Gere, you know, what would you say, legend, myth, etc. There it also features his female rapper Harry Carey on there. So that, obviously a joke song, heavy-handed in a way, but then also sort of still just a dance record. Look, it's the same kind of flow and style from MC29. Like, I can't say these are good records. They're interesting. And those are the only MC29 quote-unquote records. That one came out in actually 1991, by the way, the next year, but still on Picos Records. But then Peak Coast Records has one more record, which is written and produced by Jeffrey Gilchrist, which is, MC29. But that record is called Mortals of the J. It's like a group. I don't even have that record, so I don't know that much about it. But apparently it's Tommy Boy, as in Tommy Boy Records, is in the title. So one more kind of strange record by that label. That came out in 1992. That one I don't have, so we can't hear a clip of that. Anyway, it's so bizarre that this guy had a career that he kept putting out records. Like, I guess it's meant to be a joke, but again, there's so much kind of serious stuff in there. Like, he's got his label roster and, like, non-joke songs, and, like, did he intend to have a long-running career? Like, he's putting out wax and stuff, which is more than you can say about a lot of really great rappers who haven't had, 4 12 inches of surname, unfortunately. But anyway, that's MC29, the full story, and the least known, most bizarre artist to go after third base, that's for sure.